In this video, we're going to learn about data types in JavaScript. So first, just create a new file called data types. As usual, we create a basic structure, HTML5. Okay. JavaScript includes some data types, just like any other language. There are two types of data types. The first one is primitive data types, which are string, number, boolean, null, and the last one is undefined. So this is just a string, and then the next one is number. It could be integer, can also be a float, something like this, a number with comma, and then next one we can declare boolean, true or false, and then next one is null, last one is undefined. You can try to print all of this. Okay, just open this file with our browser, then open the console. Okay, you can see these are the value. You can try 0.5, 3.5. So there are some types in primitive data types like a string, integer, floats, which is a number, and then the boolean, true or false, and then the null and undefined. Maybe you can understand these four types, but what is null and undefined? What is the difference between null and undefined? So null it means that the value of e is nothing, like a is equal to nothing. But undefined means that this is the default value when we are not assigning some value to variable yet. So maybe the example will be like this. So if we are declare f variable without assigning a value to it, the value will be undefined by default. So, but if you want to declare it with a value, the value is nothing. Just fill it with null. Okay. Okay, these are the primitive data types, and also one more things. This two value is unique because if we use this value or undefined in the with comparison operator, the value will be false. Null is equal to false, and also undefined will be equal to false. We can try. Now undefined. The value will be true because we negate the value. If you are using double not in here, so the value will be false. Okay, so this is a special data types. Okay, the next is non-primitive data types, which are object, date, and array. Okay, I will explain what is object first. Basically, JavaScript object is just a standalone entity that holds multiple values in terms of properties and methods. So maybe, for example, we can declare something like this. So this is just an empty object. So it's going to be like this. And then there are two ways to declare objects in JavaScript. The first is using object literal. So it's gonna be like this. You can declare an object using this method. Maybe the animal have a property called name, like a cat, and also the age maybe too. And then we can also save a function inside of this object, maybe run function. Inside this function, we can access another property of this object. For example, like this name is running. Let's try something like this. Okay, when we print this object, it's gonna be show something like this. So the name is string, the age is integer, and the run is function. So we can try to access the variable, like maybe the name, the property of this object, one of the properties of this object, maybe the name, and then we can access the age, and also we can run the function. If you are not executing the function, it's gonna print something like this. It will print the function, but if we executing this function with this two brackets, so this undefined, sorry, there is a typo here. It should be name. Okay, cat is running. So this is the way how we declare object using object literal. The second way to declare object is using the object constructor. Maybe we can try constructor. Okay, this is human object, just like when we create an object in Java, and then we can assign properties inside this object. Maybe the name is John, and the age is 23, and then the human also can run. Return this name is running. Okay, it will also work. Okay, there are two ways to declare an object in JavaScript. First is using object literal, and then second one is using object constructor, like this. Okay, one more thing, that object properties can be accessed using this dot, and also we can do something like this. We can access the properties by using the square bracket, like this. Age. So it will still work. So there are two ways to access the properties in the JavaScript object. First is using the dot notation, and then the second one is we can use the square brackets. We can also iterate to get the list of all properties in this object by this way. You can use the for. I will explain later. Maybe like this. Let k using const k in person. Instead of accessing one by one, we can use a for to loop between all of the properties in this object, like human. And try console like k, and we can access the properties by using these square brackets. So it's gonna be like this. It will print the k and then the value k, value k, value. And then we can also nest an object, maybe for example like human, maybe address, and then inside of this human address we can create another object, and maybe can try to save a country, maybe Indonesia, and then the province maybe is Java. Okay, and try to print this object. So we can see that we can nest an object inside an object. Okay, that's enough for object. We will move to another non-primitive data type, which is array. We have learned that with variable we can save a single value like this. But how about when we are need to put more than one values? We can use array. In JavaScript, an array is a special type of variable that stores multiple values using a special syntax. So maybe it's similar like object, but it's a little bit different. In array, we can also save multiple value, just like an object. And then there are two ways to declare an array. Just like an object, first we can declare an array with using the array literal. Just like the previous example about object, we can declare an array like this. It's already okay, maybe just like 10. Okay, so this is the array. Instead of using string as the index, array use an integer start from 0, and then the next is the 1, 2, 3. It's all integer. So array has a integer k, and then we can save, just like an object, we can save anything. So because as I said before, that JavaScript is a loosely typed programming language, so we can save more than one type inside our array. So boolean, and then we can save null, and then we can also save a string inside here, so it will not throw an error, it will still work. And then we can also initialize array by using an constructor similar to the object, and then we can do something like this, just create an array object just like in Java, and then we try to print it. So we declare an empty array, and then when we also can put an integer value inside this object constructor, and then it will initialize an empty array with the length 12. So we can also put a value inside of this array by this way, using the square bracket. And remember, the index of array should be an integer. And then we can save a value. Like this. Okay, so if we want to access the value, one value of the array, we just access it by using the square bracket and then put the index inside of this square brackets. Maybe like, for example, 1. It will show the value in index 1. Okay, to print, to check the length of this array, we can also accessing this property length. It will display the length of the array. And if we want to iterate this array, we can use a for. We can do something like this. And I will explain it later. Just for example, I'll explain later about this for loop. Okay, we can iterate through this array and print all the value by using for, like this. Okay, maybe it's enough for array. The next non-primitive data types is date. JavaScript includes a date object to work with to let us work with date and times. We can create a date by using this way, using the constructor, object constructor. If we will try to print this date, the value is going to be like this. So this is the current date, and then we can also pass an integer to this constructor. If we are passing 0, for example, so in JavaScript date, the date will be, if we pass a 0 value, which is the millisecond of the date, we will get this minimum value of the date. And then if we are, just for example, get time, we can get the value. So this is the millisecond form of this today current date, and this current date. Then we can print, so it's equal to today. And then we can also pass a string inside of this object constructor. For example, like to yes, like this, we can pass a string inside the object constructor. It will still work to April in 2020. And date object also have a some method. For example, like maybe get day, and also get year, and also get full year, and then get month. Okay, so this will return an integer value of the day, year, full year, and also month. We can also do another method, like to local the string. You can explore it. Maybe this is only for example. So this is all of the data types in JavaScript, primitive and non-primitive. I hope you can understand. If you have any question, just leave it in the comment section below. Okay, let's go to the next tutorial.